So in 2014, at age 92, a man by the name Ronald Reed, who grew up in a small Vermont town called Dummerston, passed away but left something astonishing. Now we need to first note that Reed only graduated high school and was the first to do so in his family. He was also forced to walk 6.4 kilometres each day to commute to and from school, and after graduating he enlisted to the US Army until honourably discharged in 1945. He then worked as a gas station attendant for 25 years, however strangely soon retired after making a presumably low income. After a year, he decided to return to the workforce and worked as a part-time janitor until officially retiring in 1997. He was seemingly a quiet and unassuming person until after he passed away, he left $8 million and $6 million of it to his local library and hospital. Everyone in his town was left in disbelief as they all prescribed the idea that he was poor due to his low pay. Although in order to achieve this enormous amount of wealth, all he did was invest consistently into these blue chip dividend companies including Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, JP Morgan Chase, General Electric and more. He also employed frugality as due to his low income he was forced to cut costs and invest heavily into these companies. So the lesson learned here is that wealth isn't determined by the income you make but rather the behaviour you have. Reed consistently over his lifetime didn't change his lifestyle and was rewarded as a hero for it. Hey guys, and in this video I'm going to show you the 10 levels of financial dependence and how to reach level 10, which is financial abundance. We're at this stage you have more money than you ever need, just like Ronald Reed. What do you mean? That rhyme was unintentional. I'm on a journey to educate millions of people just like you in personal finance, and of course this video has no financial advice in it, but without further ado let's get into the steps and levels you need to accomplish to reach financial independence. At level 1 we start our journey of financial dependency. This stage is where your debt payments and living expenses outweigh your own income. So essentially this is the point where you depend on someone else to cover your basic living costs such as food and shelter. So this is the point when you're a kid and generally your parents pay for your lifestyle and basic necessities. Now, I'm not going to go into too much depth here, but know this is ground zero where every human starts. Next, we move on to level 2, which is financial solvency, which is where you're current on all your debt payments and also can finance your own needs without the help from others. Now, the word solvent itself means capable of meeting your own financial obligations, and this generally applies to people just beginning their full first-time jobs and are able to pay for their own personal needs and wants. Level 3 is financial stability, and this is where it starts to get juicy because you can now build your own emergency fund in addition to being financially solvent. So in order to make that jump from level 2 to 3, we must be able to build an emergency fund between 3 to 6 months long. Now an emergency fund means exactly what it states. In case of an unforeseen emergency, such as you losing your job, you'll have 3 to 6 months worth of spending saved up in an account that you can survive on. So if you spend perhaps $1,500 a month on rent, food, bills, etc., then you should have between $4,500 and $9,000 saved up just in case. And if you want to be extra financially secure, you should save between 6 to 12 months worth of spendings. Now a further way to look at the strength of your financial stability is by sitting in a chair. And the legs of this chair are made up of all your income sources. So you may have multiple legs, such as your 9 to 5 job income, your rental income, your stock dividend income, or maybe even a side hustle you may have. But let's say you have 4 income sources. Now, if you get rid of one of those legs, you'll only have 3. And if you've ever sat on a 3-legged chair, then it starts to get a bit wobbly, and that's represented as your financial status. If you get rid of another one and only have 2, then it starts to get extremely wobbly and you're likely to fall off, or in this case, go broke. And obviously, if you just have 1, you're going to fall off no matter what. That's why the average millionaire has about 7 income sources. That's the secret to how they control their wealth and not metaphorically fall off the chair. Now, level 4 is quite polarizing depending on who you ask, and this stage is called debt freedom. Now the reason some have varied viewpoints is because it have to be completely debt-free. Some classify it as having no high interest debt, such as credit card loans and car loans. Some allow student debt due to the lower interest rate. The way I classify debt freedom is having no unnecessary debt that restrains you from your future endeavours. So credit card debt and car loans to me seem unreasonable because firstly credit card debt is high interest debt and generally is just because of needless shopping that isn't necessary anyway. In terms of car loans, most people just want to buy fancier cars with money they don't have, so this becomes redundant to me because there's no reasonable way to affect your life. I take off mortgage loans because they're cash flow positive, and at the end of the day also aid in your future financial goals. Now the other key source of debt is student debt. Now of course, starting a course you want to do for a career that you want to have is always long-term positive for your financial goals. However, if you feel peer pressure to study, you're unsure of the education you actually want to partake in, or you haven't discovered your passion, I believe taking on student debt is not only a waste of your finances, but also your time. Newfound skills are available everywhere. Just look at this YouTube video. It is actively engaging in an educational skill, not just in the governmental education system. Nonetheless, you yourself can come to a reasonable conclusion on what debt freedom truly is to you. Now level 5 is an interesting level. It's a level where you can afford less pay, and I'll explain what I mean by that. Coasting financial independence is where you can step down from a higher paying job into a lower level paying job, but do that because you feel it's more enjoyable or fulfilling. This is built by investing early in life and being able to somewhat pay off your own expenses while still having an emergency fund. Despite being at first less pay, I believe stepping out of a 9-to-5 job into a side hustle that you've slowly nurtured over time can allow this side hustle to flourish into a higher, scalable income job that you can enjoy as consistently as you did at the start. More of this point is a point of transcendence where you step down from that high level paying job, that 9-to-5, and you break out of that barrier where you enjoy your job more, enjoy your life more. And I think that's a financial status that allows you to be more free. Because you may be in a higher level paying job and be free financially, but are you really free because you're enjoying yourself? And I think a side hustle that you enjoy is what you need to do to enjoy yourself more. Getting into this financial barrier at level 6 where you could quit your job if you want to, or even if you lost your job, you'd still be able to live off minimalism at this level 6 called financial security. Financial security occurs when you have enough cash flow or passive income that you can pay off your yearly expenses from, or your monthly expenses month to month. Now this doesn't include your subscriptions, holidays, and your lavish items that you like to buy, but instead the basic requirements for survival, such as a house over your head, a roof over your head, clean water, food, bills, etc. So essentially it covers short-term financial obligations, such as if you lose your job, you'll be able to survive enough at bare minimum, plus your emergency fund until you get a new job. Now how level 7 works, which is called financial flexibility, is that you still make enough income that no matter the ups and downs in markets, you're still able to survive and have a little bit of leeway for subscriptions, maybe the off holiday or so on. Now mathematically, financial flexibility, in order to have a big enough buffer, is at 12.5 times your annual expenditures. So if you have $1,000 a month you spend, so $12,000 during the year, you'd have to have roughly $150,000 in order to survive doing this. So you have to make 150 grand per year, and then that's a bit of leeway in case you have to maybe only spend $600 a month in case of a massive crash. Or maybe if it's a bit higher, you could have $1,500, $2,000 a month to survive and also do a bit more lavish items. Like for instance, the last 2 years when we've seen incredible gains, you'd have obviously more money. And then still in recent times, rather than the last 2 years, but the last 6 months, you'd still be able to survive after this 20-25% crash, depending on who you are, and still have enough spending money. Now this is the point where you're becoming more financially free because you have a bit of flexibility, like the name suggests, to survive and have a bit of leeway for different things you want to buy. And it's really an important step in order to achieve financial independence. Now speaking of financial independence, that's exactly what comes at level number 8. Now this step is based on the 4% rule, which I've talked about recently in a video called How to Retire by 2030, where you're able to save and invest 25 times your spendings at a 4% dividend or whatever you like to invest in. This step allows you to outlive your money in retirement and maintain the lifestyle that you desire. And this is a similar concept Ronald Reid would have followed because he invested heavily into these high yielding stocks that have at least 4% dividends, but make sure they're blue chip companies so they slowly go up over time rather than the significant fluctuations that happen. Now this strategy can be followed with real estate because real estate tends to not be as volatile, other than 2008 of course, and still return the rental income that you want at maybe not 4%, but you get the idea, it's constant cash flow that you need. And one day if crypto becomes more stable, you can invest into that, and if the yield, let's say, is at least 4%, like Cardano, Ethereum, Polkadot, all the, Solana, all those ones at the moment, you could live off that cash flow yourself as well. So if you want to learn more about financial independence, click on the link in the description because it's a video that covered how this 4% rule works at 25 times. It'll cover all that and it'll make a lot more sense. But continue watching the video and just click on it after, but yeah, have fun. Now we've reached financial independence, but how can we go higher? At level 9, we've reached something called financial freedom, and it's a word that's thrown around a lot, but what does it actually mean? Well, firstly, it must maintain our current lifestyle, as we spoke about earlier with financial independence, 25 times your annual expenditures, but it also has to allow flexibility to complete our life goals that we want. Now, this is very dependent person to person because we all have different aspirations. If our goal is to travel the world or something, which requires more capital, we're going to have to invest a heavier amount. Or you might have a simpler goal that doesn't need as much financially, such as playing a board game, hiking, gardening, something like that. It sounds really boring, but if it's to enjoy, whatever you enjoy, you enjoy. And of course, you don't have to reach financial freedom to cover this goal, because some goals are really cheap, like, being a good rider. It has a really scalable income that you could monetize or whatever, or you could just choose just to enjoy riding because you've already reached the financial freedom that you want. Because at the end of the day, life isn't linear, and whatever interests you, you can just have fun doing yourself or with others. Now, level 10 is financial abundance, which is the pinnacle of all financial retirement early success. Now, put it simply, this is the point where your cash flow that you have is beyond anything that you'll ever need. And it would in fact be an actual effort to spend it all, which is what we all would like to have. Because it gets to the point which you don't need to look at the price tag of things. You just get to enjoy your life, not worry about the price tag. It's because at the end of the day, it's just money. It's just money. Now, some say to endure this step, it takes 3 times the total invested amount of financial freedom. Because it's able to survive a 50% drop in the bear market and you'd still have 1.5 times your financial freedom amount. Or it could well just cover the inflation at the moment, because that's bad enough. However, the amount you can have for this number is limitless, because at the end of the day, once you surpass the point, it doesn't matter what you have above it, because you're not worried about spending the amount within it. Anyone is able to reach financial abundance, and don't think it's a prerequisite to have a high level paying job in order to do so. Because at the end of the day, you can make 20 grand a year or $1 million a year, and if you spend it all, at the end of the day, you're still left with $0 in your retirement account. And if you make 20 grand a year but able to save and invest 10,000, that's brilliant. It's way better than making $1 million and, spending 99% of it and only investing 5 grand. Being able to surpass each of these levels isn't based on the income you make, but rather the education that you have on it. The people who blame all these rich kids for having the rich parents to help them be successful are all wrong. The only difference is the rich kids had simpler access to the knowledge that it takes to become rich, while the lower class, poorer people have to find their own information because their parents or close family, relatives, friends don't have access to it. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I hope you understand now how to break your financial shackles. Click on the last video where I showed you how Bitcoin may reach $1 million in the next 4 to 5 years. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because I'm trying to get my message out to as many people as possible, and you supporting the channel will help contribute to that mission. Click on the link down below to make an account with CoinSpot using my affiliate. Don't forget to follow my socials, and anyway guys, heading out. Let's go.